Hello wonderful humans and welcome back. Today I am continuing on my Get Organised month. So last week I gave you a tour of my bookshelves, and while I did that I paid attention. I took stock of what I had and paid attention to what was calling out to me, what I had read, what I hadn't read, what I was excited about having on my shelves and what I wasn't. And so continuing on from that, today I have a little bit of an unhaul, I suppose you call it. I'm going to be getting rid of some of those books. Particularly today, I'm going to unhaul. My goal is 22 books for 2022. I'm going to get rid of more than that, but you know. And I've also been book shopping, so I'll show you what I've bought this since the start of the month. So that's the plan for today. So get comfortable and let's go through the 22 books that I'm getting rid of for 2022. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. If you notice any book, I always pack up the books and put them away in the boot of my car or by the back door or somewhere before I donate them or get rid of them. If I show any books and you think that I should keep them, feel free to get down in the comments and explain why I should keep them. Otherwise I'll probably get rid of them in the next little while. But the first book is Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. This is a book that I taught, so I had that for that reason. It's recently been turned into a Netflix series, which is good. I don't think I'm ever going to need to read this again, and I doubt that I'll ever end up teaching it again, so it's time to get rid of that one. Georgette Heyer, it's two bestsellers in one volume, April Lady and Pistols for Two. I actually own these in nicer editions, so getting rid of that. Cassandra, The Delphic Women, Kerry Greenwood. I just haven't read this. I've had it probably for 10 plus years and I haven't read it, and I decided it's time. If I'm going to read anything about Cassandra, I'll probably, get something else. I've got a few other Greek, Trojan kind of books that I would like to read at some point. This is another book I've had on the shelf. I bought it as an ex-library copy and I just have never read it, and I think it's time. I was collecting fairy tale books at the time that I bought this, but haven't read it. Probably time. Now the next one I really did like. It's the last book in Rick Riordan's Heroes of Olympus, The Blood of Olympus. My theory behind this, I really enjoyed it and I'd like to keep it, but I actually decided that I'm going to get rid of it because if I ever choose to reread them, this is the only copy of any of the Percy Jackson books that I own. So if I ever decide to do a reread, I'll probably end up buying them all, so I'll just buy the whole set. I know, that's just how I will roll. And then I'll have matching copies. So I read that one. And the next couple of books I have, because I taught them to classes in English literature. We were doing blockbusters and sci-fi and stuff like that. Time Riders by Alex Scarrow, young adult time travel. I really like the concept in this, that they would time travel, but they would age as they did it, and it was actually really interesting, but I've never pursued the series. I Am Number 4, Piticus Law. Again, another book that I really enjoyed. Have gone on to read most of the rest of the series because I'm also getting rid of The Revenge of Seven. But these are the only two that I own. Same thing. If I ever choose to reread them, which I don't think I will with these ones, I will buy them and have the matching set. Next two, again, same class, sci-fi, blockbuster kind of stuff. That's what it was called. They aren't necessarily movies, but they were blockbuster books. Uglies, Scott Westerfield. I think that is being turned into a movie. I liked it. I read book 2. I borrowed that from the library. Liked it, didn't love it. And Gone, same thing. Liked it. Michael Grant's book. They're both really good books, and for the year 8 or year 9 classes that I was teaching, they were perfect. So I'm getting rid of those as well. So what am I up to now? So that is 10 books so far, and that was one pile of books. So I'm going to move those aside. And the next one is part 3 of the thrilling Extravaganza series. Extravaganza, City of Flowers by Mary Hoffman. I read the first book in this series and haven't ever quite found the second book. The library didn't have it and I haven't seen it for sale. So I bought this at a secondhand book sale at some point. Have never found book 2. I'd have to go find book 1 now. I have no idea what it's like. I can't remember any of it. It was good. I remember enjoying it. This is another one that I taught, Graffiti Moon, Kath Crowley. It's shortlisted for the Children's Book Council of Australia. It won the New South Wales Premier's Literary Award. Really great book. Again, I'm just not going to teach it again. And I won't be reading it again, I don't think. But really worth having a read of if you are into that kind of thing. Year 12 students, so 18-year-olds, and dealing with coming of age kind of stuff. The next 2 books are plays, or books of plays, selected plays by Brian Friel, and 3 plays by David Williamson. I actually own multiple copies of these in different editions, so I'm just getting rid of these books, so that brings us up to 14 books so far. The next 2 are more books that I taught. A Bridge to Wiseman's Cove by James Maloney. I honestly cannot remember anything about this. I don't even think I enjoyed it when I read it. I had no say in what I was teaching. It's about a 15-year-old boy. Yet Carl has become one of the most memorable characters in Australian literature. I can't remember him, sorry. I'm sure it was a good book. We would have been teaching it for a reason. I just don't remember it. And the other one is Letters to Leonardo. Again, can't really remember much. They're both Australian books from what I can tell. Cannot remember anything about this. Oh yeah, he was writing letters to Leonardo da Vinci. Anyway, nothing overly special for either of these. I'm sure they're really good books for teenagers to read. I just, as an adult and someone who is unlikely to teach them, I don't need to keep them anymore. The next 2 books, I never read this one. Picked it up somewhere because a student was reading it, but I never did get around to reading it. It's called Run. It's by Cody Keplinger, and it's by the author who wrote The Duff, which is a movie. Yeah, haven't read it. Have had it sitting there for quite some time, so it's time. And then Meg Cabot, or Cabot, however you want to say it, the author of The Princess Diaries. This is Avalon High. I quite enjoyed this. This is a King Arthur retelling. It's a fun book, but again, not one that I need to reread. So that's 18 books. We have 4 more books to go. The next one, I think I read this. I actually can't remember it. I'm sure these were good, and I wouldn't have kept them at the time if I didn't enjoy them. We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler. I think this was, I would have picked this up because it was a Reese Witherspoon book club or something similar at the time, but I just can't remember. And the next one is Son of a Witch by Gregory Mcguire. Decided to keep my copy of Wicked because I quite liked Wicked. I didn't really enjoy this though. And I think, yeah, there's no reason I think that I would plan on rereading this anytime soon. So yeah, that one's out of here. And 2 more books to go. These ones I've had sitting there. I'm actually just clearing them out because I don't see, I'm sure I would enjoy them if I read them, but they've been sitting there for, again, probably 10 years. And I have not read them, and I see no way that I'm going to read them anytime soon in the near future. These ones change my mind, if you will. This is called Rune Marks by Joanne Harris. 500 years after the end of the world, and goblins had been at the cellar again. It looks pretty interesting. I mean, I might change my mind about this. It's an ex-library copy. Often I pick up ex-library ones. I don't know why I haven't read it. Something is stopping me from reading it. If you've read this, let me know. Otherwise, it'll be out the door. And the last one is by Fiona Paul, The Secrets of the Eternal Rose of Venom. And this one, I would have just picked it up, the cover. I quite like the cover, but picked it up when that was my thing, and not so inclined to read these kind of books anymore. Beauty, Romance, Murder, a novel as stunning and seductive as Renaissance Venice itself. I mean, it sounds cool. I'm sure it's fantastic. But I picked it up because it was recommended in I'd read a book around that time, and it was recommended, and I've moved on since then. 2012 that was published. So yeah, it's over 10 years. I would have bought it when it was new. So they are the books. That is 22 books that I'm getting rid of for 2022. I actually have a whole heap of other ones that I plan on getting rid of. I just haven't sorted through to work out which edition, or whether I actually am committed to getting rid of them, or whether I just want to put them in storage for a short period of time while I work out whether I'm going to go back to teaching at any point in the future or not. So some of the books I have for those reasons, and others I just like to keep. So they're the books that I'm getting rid of. And now I'm going to show you, I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books since the start of the year. That's not so bad. I have had, I've been on holidays. So I went to Melbourne and visited a few bookshops while I was there. So the first one, I read this pretty quickly, rom-com. I think there's actually a movie based on this either coming out or it has come out. I just haven't watched it. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This one was a really easy read. It was fun. Nothing more to say. I enjoyed it. I may actually include that in a review video coming soon. The next one I bought, I read this at uni, and I must have read it in the library because I didn't buy a copy. Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own. I've been looking for a copy of it for a while, and it's actually, I wanted to buy it from a bookshop, not online. So it was a little bit trickier to find than I would have liked. So bought that. It matches quite a few of the other books that I've got in this, this style. And another Virginia Woolf book, How Should One Read a Book? I just thought it was interesting to see how Virginia Woolf thought that we should read books. And it should be a pretty short, it's more of an essay, I suppose, than a book. So that should be pretty easy to read and fun in a way. Then, because this one was on sale, and I've long wanted to read some Edgar Allan Poe, I bought Classic Tales of Detection and Adventure. So it's probably not, I don't know. I honestly don't know much about his work. I don't know if it's his best or not his best. But I figured it was a nice place to start, and at some point I will have a go at reading these. And then the next one is Douglas Adams' The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've read this. I read it 3 years ago, I think, and I really enjoyed it at the time, but I want to read the rest of the books in the Hitchhiker series, and I want to read this first. So I think I've got it on my Kindle, which is where I would have read it the first time, because it was when I was living in London 4 years ago, maybe now. But figured I'd reread this and then work my way through the rest of them as I go. It'll be good to reread it anyway. And then the next one, yes. So the next one I bought the next two I bought most recently on my trip. And one of them I bought at the new Readings store, if you're from Melbourne, in the Emporium building. Nice new shop, which we should all support, just because we like physical bookstores. This is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I've been wanting to read this for a while, but I wanted to find it in a physical bookstore. And my local bookstore had some of her other books, but not this one. So I was happy when I saw this. I'm really trying to support local bookstores if I can, or at least physical bookstores, as opposed to just buying them on Amazon. So that's why sometimes I just grab them when I can. But hopefully I'll get a chance to read this at some point, because I have heard really great things about her books. So that will be fantastic. And the last book I bought, again in Melbourne on my most recent trip, this time I bought it at Minotaur, which is a pop culture store which has the best fantasy and sci-fi section of any bookstore that I've been to in Melbourne. I'm sure it's possible that there's another one, but it is a pop culture store that does deal with this kind of thing. I have a couple of his other books, but I don't have this one, and I was told to start with this one by a friend who recommended it. So Raymond E. Feist, Magician. So that's another one. It'll take me a while to get to that, but that's another one I'd been on the lookout for in physical bookshops, and I've only just come across it. So picked that up. So I got rid of 22 books, but I've also bought a few new ones, which is good because it means as I resort my shelves, which I am in progress with, I've started just clearing out all the books that I'm thinking that I don't need on display, or I might shuffle them around. But it's good that I have these ones now because I can include them in my planning and potentially other ones in the series as well. Maybe not at the moment, but at least I can include these ones so I know where to put them. And I'll continue on with that. As a little bit of a side note, my reading update at the moment, I am getting very close, very, very close. By the within a couple of days, I'll be halfway through The Shadow Rising. I'm loving it, really struggling to put it down. So I have to be careful about when I pick it up as well. Sometimes I can read on my lunch break at work and after work or before work or anything like that. But I have to be really careful because I've gone back to work today after my holidays. So I'll have to be really careful not to read it at lunchtime because I don't know how I will go focusing on work after when I really just want to keep reading. So it'll be in the evening and mostly on weekends now. So that's where I'm up to with that. And I've also, so far for the year, I finished, I think, 7 books. Some of them have been novellas and a lot of them have been, no, actually, one of them was The Hating Game, a couple of novellas, 2 audiobooks. So just keeping it all mixed up in my mind a little bit. I normally don't have as many books on the go, but I've got to read, I think I've got 20 novellas that I have to read by the end of January for some awards that I'm helping to judge. But they're proving really, really great to read. And so it's just keeping me on my toes a little bit, trying to swap between them. But they're really great lunchtime reads at work. So I'll be able to read those at work and just before I go to bed, as opposed to The Wheel of Time. But that's where I'm up to. That's a little bit of an update for you. And I'm going to continue on now, going through my bookshelves and sorting them out. And I will see you later in the week with more videos. Okay, bye.